In the years of the 1930s, Newcourt was a city that was in the hands of the gangsters. Crime became the rule of the day, with citizens being scared, the police were powerless, and politicians were bought off. And the top dog in the criminal underworld at that time was Salvatore Sazza, better known as the Godfather, and the man who was the head of what was known as the Zaza crime family. But things began to change as a masked man emerged from the shadows, driving around in his car, the Silver Phantom. Aided by his partner, another masked vigilante, waged war with the city's gangland figures and other notorious criminals. That man was Benjamin Benny Cohen, a city councilman, but to the city of Newcourt, he was known as the Masked Dragon. I'm Harrison Phillips, city historian and a butler to the Cohen family. I'm writing entries about the dragon's exploits, all his adventures, all the crimes that were committed in this city, and all the criminals that he and his allies brought to justice. In today's story, we see the dragon's team on low financials and resources in their war with the mob. But they would end up recruiting a child prodigy whom would refurbish the Silver Phantom, and they would form an alliance with Hillary Scott to finance their crusade. This is the Dragon's Wars. We time jump here for this adventure to the year 1934, a year after the end of Prohibition. And on a dark night, there was a car being chased by police. The car they were chasing was the Silver Phantom. The masked dragon and his accomplice, the demon, managed to get away, but the car ended up damaged and was in need of repairs. But there was a problem. They had no money to repair it. Even with Mr. Cohen's money at being essentially a city councillor, will raise suspicion with that large sums of money being spent. Also, Mr. Green's money from running a bakery would definitely cause his business to fail. The team was really on hard times. With problems that they are running into with their war with the mob, Mr. Cohen was having more trouble with uncovering the rash of car thefts. With this, a crime inquest led by Detective Warren, was brought before the committee, and it turns out that these car stealings were being led by Cross Centario, a capo in the Zaza crime family, a pure thug who rose to power in the mob by using his brute force and his unwavering loyalty to the Godfather, making him one of Don Zaza's top men. With the inquest essentially going nowhere, Benny Cohen needed to clear his head. As he approached a local car, he saw a little kid trying to break into the car. He was trying to steal it. When he saw him, he called the kid to stop, and when the kid saw him, he began to run for it.
We own this thing. You can't run. I got bargains. I got deals. Man, he said to me at 3. Look at this.
When Mr. Cohen caught up to the kid, he took him to Detective Warren, and there we found out the kid's name. The kid's name was Lepke Flagenheimer, an orphan who is actually a mechanic prodigy. He was forced to take up a life of crime to get along, and several other teens of his ilk were orphaned too, forced into this racket. He wasn't really a criminal, just trying to survive and get out of a horrible situation. We offered him a chance to get out of jail in exchange for an early release and possibly no jail time at all. He gave us information about all the chop shops and the type of cars that were usually stolen. This gave Detective Warren an idea to shut down their operations. He approached Miss Scott to use her car as bait to track down the main chop shop. When the gangsters got to her car and took it to an abandoned garage, just when they were about to pull the car apart, the police burst in.
Fucking dead! Hey, hurry up and kill this guy! Stand up, bullet!
Ah, you're fucking brilliant. Come on, let's go. Chop, chop. Is that the fucking best you got? Oh, you're in trouble. I'm gonna get you sooner or later.
Hey, there's more of them in that car. Let's go, they're getting away.
All right, come on. You drive.
When it was all over, several members of the Centario crew were either arrested or killed. Several of the activities were forced to shut down, however they failed to get Cross Centario. As we would later find out, he actually managed to avoid the raid courtesy of a tip-off within the police department. But he felt he had to get back at his loss, and he was going to get Miss Scott and Lepke. Later that night, he kidnapped them both and took them to an old abandoned car crusher site. Now, Miss Scott managed to get away and called Mr. Cohen to where they were. So he, Mr. Green, got dressed in their guises and headed to rescue them. He also told Tony to wait for 10 minutes before calling Detective Warren to go down to the old scrapyard to rescue Miss Scott and Lepke. And when they got there, a fight broke out with what was left of the old Centario crew.
Shit, let's go! Don't be so gentle, boys.
Is that the fucking best you got?
Cover me, asshole. Try and get around behind him. You okay? Yeah, that's right. You're dead!
Hurry up. All right, Vito, here we go. Oh, that's the best you got? Going in.
We got him now! Go around behind him. Fuck you! You missed, asshole.
Get covered, Vito. Move. Wow, you're fucking brilliant.
Shot me.
Centario was defeated, and Lepke and Miss Scott were rescued. The Mars vigilantes then quickly left just before the police arrived. At the end of it all, the car stealing racket was smashed, and Cross Centario was sentenced to 10 years in prison. Mr. Gowan passed new laws to help all the kids who were forced into that car stealing racket, giving them a second chance to have a better life. And with the help of Miss Hilary Scott, this made the two really popular in the public's eyes. Now, as you recall earlier in this video, entry, I said how the gang was low on financials, and even though they were successful breaking up this racket, they knew that, they couldn't keep going on and they weren't going to get lucky next time. So Tony had an idea. So later that week, the masked dragon and the demon approached Lepke and Miss Scott and asked them to help them out in their crusade. Although they didn't reveal their true identities to them, they offered them to be a part of the crusade. Now Lepke joined immediately to take down these gangsters. As honestly, like I said before, he wasn't a criminal. He was just forced into a bad situation. And when he got a chance to, in his words, redeem himself, because he never felt right that he was forced into a life of crime. And he thought if he had anything else, he would have easily chosen another path. Scott, however, was hesitant, but she agreed that her brains could be good to help take these gangsters down. And honestly, she was sick of being the damsel in distress. So they set up their new headquarters at an old abandoned warehouse, a location chosen by Lepke. They nicknamed it the HQ. And just for you to know of this the hideout that they used, or what kind of warehouse it was actually the old orphanage that Lepke used to live in before they got transferred to the second orphanage, and then that second orphanage was just as horrible as the first one. So they just thought because it was abandoned, they could set up there. Lepke managed to fix up the old Silver Phantom to be faster than the original. Hilary Scott financed all the necessary expenses to continue their war. This includes, buying ammunition for guns, maybe better clothing choices. Basically, she was supplying them with money for this war with the mob. And when I would ask Mr. Cohen why he recruited them to his crew, he said there's nothing wrong with making new friends. And that is the end of today's story, ladies and gentlemen. Please join us next time as the Masked Dragon and the Demon go up against the mob in the next adventures of the Dragon's Wars.